Imagine you are in an airport. The low hum of conversations, the rolling of suitcase wheels, the distant announcements over a loudspeaker. Now, imagine a young man suddenly sprinting out of that terminal. He runs as if his life depends on it. He leaps a tall, barbed wire fence. He disappears into a dense sunflower field. This is the last known moment of Lars Mittank, a 28-year-old German man on vacation. His frantic escape was captured on camera, making him one of the most famous missing persons online. The footage is chilling, silent, grainy, unsettling. We see Lars enter Varna Airport in Bulgaria. He seems calm at first. Then something is terribly wrong. He looks nervous, glancing over his shoulder. He makes a frantic, whispering phone call to his mother, saying he's being followed, that he needs to hide. Minutes later, he flees. The video loops online, a haunting digital ghost story. What could make a man abandon everything and run into the unknown? What was he so afraid of? The questions linger for over a decade. This is a story with no easy answers. It's a puzzle of strange behavior, cryptic phone calls, and an inexplicable disappearance. We'll piece together the events leading up to that run. We'll examine every clue, every witness statement, and every piece of evidence. From a simple beach holiday with friends to a bizarre fight to a mysterious ear injury, the details deepen the mystery. Each fact seems to contradict the next. Each theory opens new questions. It's a journey into a dark, confusing vortex, the truth just out of reach, hidden in a vast field of sunflowers. Join us as we explore Lars Mittank's case. We'll retrace his final days, his final hours, and his final terrifying moments. We'll delve into theories that captivated internet sleuths: sudden psychotic break, sinister criminal plot, or something far stranger. This is more than a missing person case. It's a reminder of how quickly life can spiral into an enduring mystery. Get ready. What you're about to see is deeply troubling. Table of Contents, Part 2, Act 1. The Trip and the Injury. Sections: 1. A summer holiday. 2. The fight on the beach. 3. The injury and the doctor. 4. Alone and afraid. In the summer of 2014, Lars Mittank was a happy, ordinary young man. He was 28 years old, living a quiet life in northern Germany. He had a steady job at a power plant, a loving girlfriend, and a close circle of friends. By all accounts, he was stable, kind, and easygoing. He was not known for impulsive behavior or any history of mental health issues. He was simply a regular guy, looking forward to a break from work. The plan was simple: a week-long vacation with his high school friends. They chose Golden Sands, a popular resort town on the coast of the Black Sea in Bulgaria. It was meant to be a week of sun, sand, and relaxation. The trip started just as they had hoped. Lars and his friends spent their days enjoying the warm weather and the lively atmosphere of the resort. They swam in the sea, played football on the beach, and explored the local bars and restaurants at night. Everything seemed perfectly normal. Lars was having a good time, laughing and joking with his friends. There were no signs of distress, no hints of the bizarre events that were to follow. He was just another tourist on a summer holiday, soaking up the carefree vibe of a seaside town. The days were long and sunny, and the future seemed just as bright and clear. But the dynamic of the group was not entirely harmonious. Lars was a fan of Werder Bremen, a German football club. His friends, however, were passionate supporters of a rival team, Bayern Munich. This friendly rivalry often led to playful arguments and banter. During their nights out, these discussions about football sometimes became heated, especially after a few drinks. While it was mostly in good fun, witnesses later recalled that the friends would occasionally get loud and animated. It was the kind of tension that can simmer just below the surface on any group trip, a small crack in an otherwise perfect vacation. As the week drew to a close, the group made plans to return home. Their flight was booked for July 7th. Lars seemed ready to go back to his life in Germany, to his job and his girlfriend. The vacation had been a success, a much-needed escape from routine. He had sent cheerful messages home, sharing photos and stories of his time in Golden Sands. Nothing in his communication suggested he was worried or unhappy. He was looking forward to getting back. But one final night out would change everything. A seemingly minor disagreement would set in motion a chain of events that would lead Lars down a path of fear, confusion, and ultimate disappearance. The last night of the vacation began like any other. Lars and his friends went out to a local bar. The mood was festive as they celebrated the end of their trip. At some point in the evening, Lars got into an argument with his friends over football. It was the familiar rivalry between Werder Bremen and Bayern Munich. The details of the argument are unclear. Some reports say it was just a verbal disagreement. Others suggest it was more intense. Whatever happened, Lars decided to leave the bar by himself. His friends stayed behind, assuming he had simply gone back to the hotel to cool off. They did not see him again that night. What happened next is pieced together from Lars's own account. After leaving the bar, he went to a fast food restaurant. There, he reportedly got into a confrontation with another group of men. These men were not his friends. They were, according to Lars, Russian or Bulgarian. He told his friends the next day that these men were hired by the Bayern Munich fans he had argued with earlier. He claimed they were sent to start a fight with him. The confrontation became physical. One of the men struck Lars hard in the head. The blow was powerful enough to injure his ear. The fight was short but brutal. Lars said he was hit on his left ear, causing him immense pain. He managed to get away from his attackers and made his way back to the hotel in the early hours. His friends were already there, asleep. They had assumed he had returned hours earlier. When they woke up on July 7th, the day of their flight home, they found Lars waiting for them. He told them about the fight and the injury to his ear. He was in pain and disoriented. The carefree vacation had ended in violence. His friends were concerned. The injury looked serious. Lars complained of hearing loss and a loud ringing sound in his ear. He was clearly shaken, but the group had a flight to catch. They had to check out of the hotel and head to the airport. They urged Lars to see a doctor before they left, but time was short. The reality of the situation began to set in. A simple beach holiday had taken a dark and unexpected turn. The clock was ticking, and a sense of unease had replaced the relaxed atmosphere of the past week. With their flight just hours away, the group knew Lars needed medical attention. They took him to a local clinic in Golden Sands. A doctor examined his ear and delivered the diagnosis: a ruptured eardrum. It was painful, but not life-threatening. The doctor warned him the change in air pressure could make it worse. He strongly advised Lars not to fly. The doctor prescribed an antibiotic, cefuroxime 500. He recommended Lars stay in Bulgaria a little longer. The news put Lars in a difficult position. Their friends had to leave. Their flight was booked and they had commitments. They could not stay with him. Lars now faced being alone in a foreign country. He was injured. He was in pain. He was anxious. His friends felt guilty, but left. They made sure he had money. They left him his phone. They found him a cheap hotel nearby, Hotel Color. They promised to keep in touch and left for the airport, believing he would be safe. Lars checked into Hotel Color. It was a stark contrast to the lively resort they had just left. The hotel was cheap and rundown, in a rougher part of town. Alone, his anxiety escalated. The pain in his ear was constant. The world felt muffled and distorted. He was isolated. Thoughts turned dark. He felt unsafe. The beach fight felt like the start of something sinister. His behavior grew strange. He called his mother, Sandra Mittank, in Germany. His voice was filled with fear. He whispered. He told her something was wrong with the hotel. He asked her to cancel his credit cards. He felt watched. He said he did not feel secure. In one call, he whispered that 4 men were coming to get him and he needed to hide. His mother was terrified. This was not the son she knew. His calm demeanor had been replaced by sheer panic. Section 4. Alone and afraid. Trapped in his hotel room, paranoia intensified with each passing hour. He was convinced he was in danger. During one of his frantic calls home, he told his mother the 4 men from the beach fight were trying to find him. He believed they wanted to rob him, kill him. He whispered he had found a place to hide. He did not say where. His mother, thousands of miles away, could only listen in horror. She begged him to go to the German embassy, to find a doctor he could trust. Lars was consumed by his fear. In the middle of the night, he fled the hotel. He called his mother again, saying he had escaped, hiding somewhere outside. The terror in his voice was palpable. He sent her a text message. Cefuroxime 500. The antibiotic the doctor had prescribed. Why did he send this message? Was it a clue? Did he believe he had been drugged? The medication is a standard antibiotic, not known to cause psychosis or paranoia. Yet in his panicked state, Lars attached sinister significance to it. This message became one of the most perplexing clues. After a night hiding, he decided his only hope was to get home. He knew he was not supposed to fly, but Varna Airport felt like his only escape. Early on July 8th, he flagged down a taxi. The taxi driver described him as agitated and erratic. His pupils were dilated. He seemed terrified. Lars told the driver he did not want to die in Bulgaria. He wanted to get to the airport, to catch the first plane back to Germany, no matter what the doctors had said. For Lars, the airport represented safety. On the way, he made one last coherent call to his mother. He said he had arrived at the terminal. He said he'd see the airport doctor to get clearance to fly. He sounded calmer, a glimmer of hope. His mother was relieved. She thought the worst was over. She believed he'd soon be on a flight. Safe. She had no way of knowing he was about to walk into the final bewildering chapter. This would be the last time she ever heard his voice. Section 1. The Airport Doctor's Office. On the morning of July 8, 2014, Lars Mittank walked into the Varna Airport terminal. CCTV footage captures his arrival. He appears surprisingly calm, a stark contrast to the panicked man his mother had spoken to hours earlier. He walks with a steady pace, his backpack on his shoulders, a larger bag in his hand. He finds the airport doctor's office on the first floor and goes inside. He still hoped to get medical clearance to fly. This was his chance to go home. Inside the small examination room, Lars met Dr. Kosta Kostov. The doctor recalled Lars seemed nervous and erratic, but not overtly aggressive. Lars explained his injury, a ruptured eardrum, and asked if he was fit to fly. Dr. Kostov examined him and confirmed the diagnosis. He was sympathetic but firm. Flying was not a good idea. The doctor tried to calm him, reassuring him he was safe and would heal. The doctor noted Lars's strange behavior, dilated pupils, a visible state of agitation. While they spoke, another man entered the office, an unknown man, reportedly an airport construction worker. His presence seemed to trigger Lars. The nervous energy erupted. Lars became visibly distressed. He began to tremble. He muttered under his breath, indistinct words. The sight of the stranger seemed to confirm his fears. Suddenly, Lars shot up from his chair. He stared at the worker with wide, terrified eyes.
I don't want to die here. I have to get out of here.
Before the doctor could react, Lars bolted from the room. He left everything behind. His wallet, his passport, his phone, all of his luggage. He abandoned every link to his identity in that small office. He had walked in trying to get home. He ran out fleeing for his life. Section 2. The man in the blue shirt. The airport's security cameras captured what happened next. The silent, grainy footage documents the final, frantic minutes of Lars Mittank's known existence. After bursting out of the doctor's office, he is seen sprinting through the main terminal. He runs with an urgency that is shocking to watch. He runs past the check-in counters. He runs past the cafes. He runs past the crowds of people waiting for their flights. He is a blur of motion, a figure of pure panic, against a backdrop of mundane routine. His destination is unknown. His only goal is to escape. He looks over his shoulder, as if expecting someone to be chasing him. The footage shows no one in pursuit. He is running from something no one else can see. He navigates the terminal with surprising speed, dodging luggage carts. We see bewildered tourists stepping aside. The path he takes is not logical. He does not run toward police or a security desk. Instead, he runs toward the far end of the building, toward the external fences that separate the airport from the surrounding landscape. His actions are not those of a person seeking help. They are like an animal trying to escape a trap. The footage shows him reaching the main entrance he had calmly walked through less than an hour earlier. But he does not stop. He runs out through the glass doors into bright Bulgarian sunshine. Outside the terminal building, on the pavement where taxis drop off passengers, buses drop off passengers. For a moment he hesitates, looking around wildly. He is still carrying nothing. He has shed every piece of his identity, every worldly possession, as if they were weighing him down. He is completely untethered, driven only by an overwhelming, mysterious fear. Eyewitnesses described a young man in a yellow t-shirt running as if the devil was after him. He was shouting, unintelligible. His movements were chaotic and unpredictable. He seemed in a state of complete psychosis, disconnected from reality. The man who walked in calm had completely unraveled. The terror he whispered to his mother was now on full display, captured forever on a silent security camera. Once outside the terminal, Lars's frantic journey continued. He did not slow down. He ran across the road, narrowly avoiding traffic, and headed straight for the airport's perimeter fence. This was not a small barrier. It was a formidable 2.5-meter-high fence topped with barbed wire. It was designed to keep people out, to secure the airport grounds. For Lars, it was just one more obstacle to overcome in his desperate flight. Without a moment's hesitation, he began to climb. His movements were agile, surprisingly powerful for a man in such a state of panic. He scaled the fence with an animalistic determination. Onlookers watched in disbelief. It was a bizarre and frightening spectacle. He managed to hoist himself up and over the top, navigating the sharp barbs of the wire. He dropped down on the other side, landing in a grassy area that bordered the airport's runway and service roads. He was now in a restricted zone, but he was not safe yet in his own mind. He was still exposed, still visible. The security cameras captured this incredible feat, a testament to the sheer force of the terror that was driving him. He had breached a secure perimeter, an act that would normally trigger an immediate security response. After clearing the fence, Lars did not pause to catch his breath. He immediately took off running again. He was now heading away from the airport, away from the runways, away from any sign of civilization. His target was a vast, dense field of sunflowers that stood adjacent to the airport property. The sunflowers were tall, over 6 feet in height, creating a thick wall of green and yellow. It was a place where someone could easily hide, a place where someone could vanish completely. He ran toward this field with the same desperate speed he had shown inside the terminal. The final frames of the CCTV footage are perhaps the most haunting of all. They show Lars Mittank, a small figure against a vast landscape, running at full tilt toward the sunflower field. He enters the field and is immediately swallowed by the towering stalks. One moment he is there, a man in a yellow shirt running for his life. The next, he is gone. He disappears into the sea of sunflowers, and the camera continues to record the empty space where he once was. This was the last time anyone ever saw Lars Mittank. He ran into the field and simply vanished from the face of the earth. The moment Lars disappeared into the sunflower field, he stepped out of the clear view of technology and into the murky realm of speculation. The field was enormous, stretching for several acres. The sunflowers, in full summer bloom, were so tall and dense that they formed an impenetrable screen. A person could be standing just a few feet inside and be completely invisible from the outside. It was the perfect place to hide, but also the perfect place to get lost. The vastness of the field was both a sanctuary and a potential tomb, a place of refuge that could quickly become a prison of disorientation. Immediately after he vanished, there was confusion. Airport security was alerted to the breach, but the response was not instantaneous. It took time to process what had happened. A man had scaled a secure fence and run off into a field. Was he a threat? A prankster? Or someone in desperate need of help? The bizarre nature of the event left authorities unsure of how to proceed. By the time a coordinated search could be organized, precious hours had been lost. Lars had a significant head start, and he had disappeared into a landscape that was incredibly difficult to search. The sunflower field bordered a major highway, the A2 on one side. On the other sides were more fields, forests, and scattered rural properties. It was a vast, sprawling area with countless places a person could go. Did he continue running through the field and emerge someplace else? Did he collapse from exhaustion or injury inside? Did he encounter someone in that isolated place? These questions hung heavy in the air. The field itself offered no easy answers. It was a silent, imposing witness to his disappearance, holding its secrets tightly within its dense rows of flowers. His mother, Sandra, was still waiting for news. The last she had heard, he was at the airport, about to see a doctor. She had no idea that her son had just staged a desperate escape, leaving all his belongings behind. When he did not board a flight and his phone went unanswered, her relief turned back into gnawing anxiety. It would be hours before she learned about the chaotic scene at the airport, before she saw the chilling footage of her son's final run. For her, the nightmare was just beginning. Her son was now officially a missing person in a foreign land. The Bulgarian police were notified. An official search was launched. They focused on the sunflower field and the immediate surrounding area. Teams of officers swept the dense vegetation. Search dogs combed the stalks. Officers walked in lines, combing the towering sunflowers, looking for any sign of the missing tourist. Footprints, discarded clothing, any clue to direction or fate. The task was immense. The field was a labyrinth. The summer heat was oppressive. Despite the search, they found nothing. Absolutely nothing. No sign of Lars Mittank. No body, no clothing, no wallet, no trace. Only security footage showing him run into the field. The search expanded. Helicopters with thermal cameras scanned above. But the sunflower canopy hid the ground. The search went on for days, then weeks, and still nothing. It was as if Lars had been erased. Police interviewed everyone. Dr. Kostov described Lars's paranoia. The taxi driver recalled a terrified passenger. His friends were questioned about his state of mind. Investigators collected his abandoned belongings from the doctor's office. The evidence deepened the mystery. Phone records showed frantic calls to his mother. A text about the antibiotic, cefuroxime 500, remained unexplained. The case drew German, then international media attention. The airport footage was released and went viral. Amateur detectives dissected frames online. Theories poured in. A psychotic break from the antibiotic, drugged at the bar, pursued by criminals, human trafficking, or organ harvesting? Theories ranged from plausible to outlandish. But without new evidence, they remained theories. Lars Mittank was gone, leaving a haunting video and 1,000 unanswered questions. Section 1. Theory 1. A sudden psychotic break. One of the most persistent theories is that Lars suffered a sudden and severe psychotic break. This explanation suggests that his mind, for some unknown reason, fractured. His perception of reality became distorted. The people around him, once ordinary, transformed into threats. This theory aligns with his behavior in the final hours. The whispered, paranoid calls to his mother. The belief that he was being followed. The frantic, desperate escape from the airport. These are classic signs of acute paranoia, extreme stress, lack of sleep, physical trauma. Lars had all three. He had been injured in a fight. He had spent a night alone, in pain, consumed by anxiety. He was in a foreign country, isolated from his support system. It is conceivable that this perfect storm of factors pushed his mind over the edge, creating a reality where he was the target of a sinister conspiracy. This theory would explain why he ran from the airport doctor's office. The appearance of the construction worker might have been the final trigger. In his paranoid state, Lars may have seen this innocent bystander as one of the men he believed was hunting him. His flight was not a rational decision, but an instinctual reaction to a perceived threat that existed only in his mind. He abandoned his belongings because, in that moment, his life was the only thing that mattered. But this theory also has its weaknesses. A psychotic break of this intensity is rare without a prior history or a clear trigger like substance abuse. Furthermore, if he was suffering from psychosis, what happened to him after he ran into the field? A person in such a state would be vulnerable and disoriented. It is hard to believe he could have survived for long on his own. or traveled a great distance without being noticed. The lack of any subsequent sightings makes this theory both compelling and frustratingly incomplete. Section 2. Theory 2. The side effects of medication. Another prominent theory revolves around the antibiotic Lars was prescribed, cefuroxime 500. His final text message to his mother contained only the name of this drug. Many have interpreted this as a clue, a desperate attempt by Lars to explain what was happening to him. Could the medication have caused his paranoia and erratic behavior? The idea is that Lars was not mentally ill, but was instead suffering from a rare and severe adverse reaction to the antibiotic. He was in effect poisoned by the very medicine meant to heal him. The official medical literature on cefuroxime lists side effects like dizziness, nausea. However, it does not typically include severe psychiatric symptoms like psychosis or paranoia. These reactions are considered extremely rare, almost unheard of. Yet, rare does not mean impossible. Every individual's body chemistry is different. In very isolated cases, some antibiotics have been linked to central nervous system effects, including confusion, hallucinations, delirium. It is possible that Lars was one of these exceptionally rare cases. The head injury he sustained could have made him more susceptible to such a reaction. This theory provides a neat explanation for the sudden onset of his strange behavior. He was fine until after he was prescribed the medication. His paranoia began in the hotel room, likely after he took the first dose. His text message to his mother, in this context, becomes a moment of clarity amidst the confusion. He may have realized that his terrifying thoughts and fears started after he took the pill, and he was trying to warn her. He was not saying he was drugged by criminals, but that the doctor's prescription was the source of his torment. However, like the psychosis theory, this one also has significant holes. Medical experts have largely dismissed the idea. The probability of such a severe reaction is infinitesimally small. It is far more likely that his psychological distress was the primary cause of his behavior, and his focus on the drug was a symptom of his paranoia, not its cause. He may have fixated on the antibiotic as an explanation for why he felt so strange, a common reaction in people experiencing psychosis. The text message might not have been a clue, but simply another manifestation of his confused and terrified state of mind. Section 3. Theory 3. A victim of foul play. Perhaps the most chilling theory is that Lars was not paranoid at all. Perhaps he was right. This theory suggests that he was a victim of a criminal conspiracy. The fight at the fast food restaurant was not a random brawl. It was the beginning of a targeted attack. The men who injured him were part of a larger, more sinister operation. They may have been involved in human trafficking. They may have been involved in organ harvesting. When Lars witnessed something he should not have, or when he became a target for robbery, his fate was sealed. This theory reframes the entire story. His fear was not a delusion. It was a rational response to a very real threat. The men he mentioned to his mother were real. His belief that he was being followed was accurate. In this scenario, his run from the airport was not an act of madness, but an act of desperation. The construction worker in the doctor's office could have been part of the criminal group, sent to corner him. His escape over the fence was a last-ditch effort to save his own life. This narrative explains why he abandoned his possessions. A person running from killers would not stop for their luggage. It also provides a grim answer to what happened after he disappeared into the sunflower field. If the criminals were indeed pursuing him, they would not have given up. They could have followed him into the field. They could have captured him. They could have taken him away, leaving no trace behind. This would account for the complete lack of evidence found during the searches. Lars did not just vanish, he was taken. This is the fear that haunts his family the most. But this theory too rests on speculation. There is no concrete evidence of any criminal conspiracy. The police investigation in Bulgaria found no links to organized crime. No other tourists reported similar incidents. Why would a criminal group target Lars specifically? He was not wealthy. He was a regular tourist on a budget trip. Without any proof, the foul play theory remains a dark and compelling possibility, but one that is impossible to verify. It is a story born from our deepest fears of the unknown. Section 4. Theory 4. A desperate escape. A fourth theory combines elements of the others. It suggests that Lars was trying to disappear on purpose, to start a new life. This is often called the voluntary disappearance theory. Perhaps the fight and the injury were a breaking point. Perhaps he was unhappy with his life back in Germany, despite appearances. The pressure of his job, his relationships, some other hidden stress may have become too much to bear. The incident in Bulgaria could have presented him with a chaotic opportunity to leave everything behind and simply walk away from his old identity. This theory paints his actions in a different light. Running from the airport, abandoning his passport and wallet, were not signs of panic, but calculated steps to erase his past. He ran into the sunflower field not just to hide, but to find a path to a new, anonymous existence. He might have had help, or he might have used his skills to survive off the grid. Some have pointed to his job at a power plant as evidence that he was resourceful and technically skilled. The theory suggests that he might still be alive somewhere, living under a new name, completely disconnected from his past. There have been several unconfirmed sightings of men resembling Lars in the years since his disappearance, in various parts of Eastern Europe. These reports, though never verified, keep the hope alive for some that he chose to leave, rather than being a victim of illness or crime. However, this theory is perhaps the most painful for his loved ones. It contradicts everything they knew about him. Lars was described as a loving son and boyfriend, close to his family and friends. It seems unimaginable that he would inflict such enduring pain on them by choice. There were no signs that he was unhappy or planning such a drastic step. His frantic calls to his mother, filled with genuine terror, do not sound like the actions of a man calmly executing a plan. The voluntary disappearance theory offers a glimmer of hope that he is alive, but it does so by painting him as a cruel and deceptive person, a character his family simply does not recognize. Section 1. The echo of an unanswered question. 10 years have passed since Lars Mittank ran into that sunflower field. A decade of silence, a decade of searching, a decade of grief for a family trapped in an endless limbo. The world has moved on. But for his mother, Sandra, time stopped on July 8, 2014. She continues to search for her son, holding onto a fragile thread of hope. She runs a Facebook page dedicated to finding him, sifting through countless tips and supposed sightings from around the world. Each lead brings a flicker of possibility, followed by the familiar ache of disappointment. The mystery of her son's fate has become her life's painful, unwilling purpose. The case remains a gaping wound in the world of unsolved mysteries. It is so compelling because it is so perfectly documented, yet so utterly inexplicable. We have the video. We can watch the final moments of his known life play out in stark, silent detail. We see the fear. We see the desperation. We see him run. And then, we see nothing. The footage gives us the climax of the story, but cruelly withholds the final act. It presents an unassailable fact. He disappeared, while offering no clues as to how or why. The story just stops, leaving us to stare into the void he left behind. Every theory we have explored leads to a dead end. If it was a psychotic break, where did he go? A man in such a state is vulnerable, not invisible. If it was a reaction to medication, the same question applies. If he was a victim of foul play, where is the evidence? Where are the culprits? An elaborate criminal conspiracy that leaves no trace seems like something from a movie, not a real-life vacation gone wrong. And if he chose to disappear, why the terrifying phone calls? Why the display of sheer panic? None of the puzzle pieces fit together to form a complete picture. We are left where we began, with the haunting image of a young man running for his life. He ran from something. Was it a real physical threat? A group of men with violent intentions? Or was it a phantom, a terrifying delusion conjured by a mind under siege? Was he running from someone, or was he running from himself? The answer is locked away, lost somewhere between the airport terminal and that vast, silent field of sunflowers. It is a secret that Lars took with him, an echo that reverberates through the years, growing fainter, but never truly fading away. Section 2. A ghost in the footage. The story of Lars Mittank serves as a chilling reminder of how fragile our reality is. It shows how quickly a normal life, a simple vacation, can unravel into a terrifying enigma. He was not an adventurer exploring a remote wilderness. He was in a public airport surrounded by hundreds of people in the middle of a modern European country. Yet he vanished as completely as if the earth had swallowed him whole. His disappearance highlights the terrifying possibility that even in our connected, monitored world, a person can simply cease to be, leaving behind only questions and a grainy video clip. This case has become a modern-day ghost story, a digital legend passed around on the internet. The CCTV footage is his haunting. It plays on an endless loop, a permanent digital record of his last known moments. He is forever running, forever escaping. He has become the most famous missing person on YouTube, a title that captures the strange voyeuristic nature of 21st century tragedy. Millions have watched him, analyzed him, and debated his fate, turning a personal family catastrophe into a global mystery. But all the speculation and all the theories bring us no closer to the truth. The search for Lars continues, driven by his family's unwavering love. But as the years turn into a decade, hope for a happy resolution dwindles. The sunflower field has been harvested and replanted many times over. The world has changed. Yet the fundamental mystery remains untouched, as profound and impenetrable as it was on that sunny July morning. The case files remain open, but the trail has long gone cold. We are left with the chilling silence that followed his final, desperate sprint into the unknown, a silence that speaks volumes about the limits of our understanding. Ultimately, we must confront the fact that we may never know what happened to Lars Mittank. He is one of the many who have stepped into the shadows and never returned. His story is a puzzle without a solution, a question without an answer. It forces us to look into the darkness and accept that some things are beyond our explanation. And so, we are left with one final haunting question, the same one that investigators, his family, and a world of strangers have asked for 10 years. When Lars Mittank ran from that airport, what was he running from?